Hey guys, it's William here, Firehouse Brewery and Fire Brew TV. Welcome back and happy Labor Day. And has it been a day of labor for me? This morning got up before the humidity got too bad and got the fall planting on the grass. Got that done with the help of my able-bodied son and my two daughters. So we had a great morning of it. And now it's time to sit back and have a brew. And you know, I thought it'd be a great time to just check back in and talk a little bit about the SJPORR Challenge. You know, with guys up in Canada and UK doing their thing, and I guess the finals with the US guys going on. Thought it might be a time to, hey, crash the party just a little bit and give a little bit of a follow-up, like I said I was going to do several weeks ago, about my entry into the SJPORR Challenge for 2014. And this is it. Once again, this was the one that I entered in. For those of you that do not know, it was a Ginger Saison. And that was my entry into this year's challenge. And had mixed reviews. Certainly it was not a cellar dweller like I thought it was going to be. Certainly not necessarily my best effort either. I had some issues with it, but learned a lot and had a good time with it as well. And I think that's kind of the important thing, is that one, we learn things and grow as brewers, and also that we also take a few things from it and then have some fun with it too. Because if it's not fun, then why are we doing it? So anyway, let's. As I said, I was going to talk about this beer a little bit and maybe do a little bit of a, not necessarily a review of it myself, but I wanted to kind of share with everyone a little bit just how this beer is acting some months after it was brewed. So let's crack into this thing real quick. There's a little hiss out of it. Maybe a little bit more of what it was doing before. Let's give it a pour. Yeah. Pours clear. Getting some effervescence there, maybe a little bit more than what it had been doing before. And a little bit of stuff there at the bottom. And you can see that right there. Not a lot of head there, and kind of, for those of you in the Southern Hub that reviewed this beer, that was probably the same thing that you got too. It's kind of doing the same, but quite a few bubbles, and I don't know if you can see that really well or not. But not bad. Certainly a little bit different from my 2013 entry into the SJ Challenge, where when it came to carbonation I was on the opposite end of the spectrum and I had far too much. This year I was a little on the undercarbonated side. So let's give this a little bit of a taste. We'll give a nose first. Yeah. It's got a sweet aroma to it, and I'm starting to detect that it may be getting a little age on it. That's why I went ahead and got rid of most of the rest of the stock that I had, the ones that I didn't drink. I think I've got one or two left, but I want to go ahead and distribute those out a little bit to some friends before the beer goes to waste. Let's give it a little taste. Certainly I do get that sweetness that everybody got out of it. And you know, when I went back over through the ingredients and list and started looking through it, well, just let's talk about the ingredients that I used this time with the Saison. Actually, I brewed this on 3/9/14 and bottled it in early April, and it had an original gravity of 1.064, finished out at 1.010 with 7% ABV. Used Pilsner, wheat, Vienna, oats, and then a pound of cane sugar. So that was my grains. The hop profile on it used some Saaz right there at the 60-minute time, then mixed some Hallertauer and Fuggles together at 20, added some more Fuggle at 5 minutes, and then some more Saaz at the flame out. And then, of course, 7.75 ounce of ginger, and I think I added that. I think the notes here. Yeah, I added that in the last 20 minutes, just continuously added a little bit of the ginger at the last 20 minutes of the boil. Used WLP 570 Belgian Golden yeast and some Irish moss and some rice hulls in there as well, and that kind of rounded it out. This is not a bad beer, and you know, after I got some of the feedback from the guys from the Southern Hub, you know, went back and looked at it. You know, one thing that's been frustrating has been the head retention and the carbonation. You know, this one I drew this directly off the keg, so I did force carbonate this, and you know, when it was in the keg, it seemed to act fine, but then I moved it to bottles, and that's where I seem to be having a little bit of a trouble. Either I'm too much carbonation or not enough. So I've kind of got to strike that happy medium in there. Also, head retention on this one was a little bit of an issue. Did some more research, and also found that, and you know, you're always finding out new things, that one of the problems could be that I'm pitching too much yeast, and so that's something I didn't know about. I was reading up on yeast and read that you know, pitching too much can cause some problems with head retention. So right now with my next beers that I've got going on, I'm experimenting with doing a little bit less in pitching the yeast, and see if that kind of quells some up, and also making sure that the slurries that I'm making, that I'm getting down to the yeast and not getting so much of the crap that's sitting at the top. So maybe that's having a little bit of an issue as well. Another thing that was noted on this beer was the sweetness of it. You know, even though it's got ginger in it, and let me get this out of the way, even though it's got ginger in it, and you know, that's supposed to give you a more of a biting flavor. You know, and I couldn't really understand the sweetness in it either, because I got that right away. So this beer is really sweet. Why so? Well, it goes back to when you brew something over time, you have to kind of keep going back and looking at what you did before. And actually, this is version 3 of this beer. And I've made this one, well, I've got a version 4 of it also. But I brewed this beer two times previously, and I went back and looked at the previous recipe profiles that I did, and keeping good notes. And it's always a good important thing for a brewer to do, and that's keep some good notes every time they make a beer, even if that's the 50th time they've made it. Keep those notes. Well, I went back through the first one and realized that I'd left out 2 key ingredients. Now, nobody ever does that, but I did. And going back through and looking at what version 1.0 and version 3.0, I found that the 2 key ingredients that I left out were the black pepper and the bitter and sweet orange peel. So that may have an issue with the sweetness on the beer. So when I get ready to do 5.0, which I went back and looked at the version 4 recipe, I did the same thing. Actually, I went back and looked at number 2 and had done the same thing. So ever since I brewed this beer from the first time, I have left out those key ingredients. So why, I don't know, because you know, the recipe's been sitting right there for me to look at. But I've just been going back and looking at the time that I did it before. So, you know, learn from my mistake a little bit. Always look back at your base recipe, what you started from, not just what you made the last time. Food for thought, anyway. So anyway, what's that take me to now? Oh yeah, why did I brew this beer? You know, that kind of comes to a question. You know, is you know, William, you know, why'd you enter a saison in an open beer competition when you're going to be going up against, you know, a bunch of double IPAs and stouts and things like that? And you know, a saison really isn't going to have much of a chance. Well, you know, SJ said, you know, to brew your best beer. Yeah, and I don't know that I necessarily was really looking to do that. However, I wanted to participate in the challenge and have a good time and learn a few things. And the other part of it is that, you know, sometimes, as they say in NASCAR parlance, that you have to run with what you brung. And that was what I did in my case. Is I had the ingredients and had the stuff to make this beer, and had done it before, and that's largely what I did. Goes back to last spring. There was a gentleman that was had started a brew supply shop, and didn't work out. Ended up moving, and so he was selling off his his grains and all of his inventory, and I happened to get in on a great deal where, I mean, I got a little bit of every kind of grain that you can imagine, specialty grains, you know, not base grains, but, you know, black wheat, you know, I mean, everything that you can imagine, I got it. You know, Maris Otter, I got, you know, I got a bunch of specialty beer, specialty grains to make some of this. So, and along with that, I got some yeast strains as well. And so, obviously, you know, I had to use them. The time was of the essence. The yeast that I got, they were either close or right on their expiration date or their best by date. So I needed to use them. So, you know, that's kind of the story on that. And as I say, you know, rest is history. So that's kind of why I entered a Saison. I figured probably, you know, there wouldn't be a whole lot of people entering this kind of a beer anyway. So, you know, I like to kind of brew something a little different, something that maybe what others aren't doing, so maybe it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, so to speak. So anyway, I did have a great time in the SJ Challenge, and want to congratulate the guys from the Southern Hub that moved on, and hope they're doing well. And haven't looked at the website here lately. I need to go do that, and also need to go catch up on some of the SJPORR reviews and see where everybody is. Anyway, what have I got coming up? Well, I think I said I've got one or two of these left. I think what I may want to do is do a little bit of a comparison between 3.0 and 4.0. One other thing that I did with this beer is each time I've brewed it, I've used a different yeast. This one, as I said, I used the Belgian Golden. In 4.0, I believe I use Trappist. I don't have it here, but I believe I used the Trappist yeast, and it's got a really different flavor to it. Really kind of brings out some of the off funky flavors that Saisons are known for. So I've also used farmhouse ale as well. So I've used some different stuff. Again, you know, all going back to all the grains and stuff that I purchased before, and the yeast. You know, it's what I had, so I changed it a little bit. But it's also fun to experiment as well. So, but I think that's what I'll do is, you know, I'll get the last bottle of this and then pull off the tap the version 4.0, and we'll do a little cross comparison here. It won't be an exact comparison because one's going to be on tap, one's going to be in the bottle, but then I'll kind of show you, the differences between the two beers. Got other things coming up. Certainly the brewery tour is still in the wings. I've got a project working on out there, so I've got to kind of clean that up a little bit before you can kind of show company around. So anyway, that is still coming up. Got some other news coming up as well that I'll be sharing with you in the weeks ahead. Trying to be a little more efficient with my brew videos, but such as it is, the day job does get in the way of that sometimes, so I don't get on to YouTube near as much as I would like to. So anyway, that's going to be it for me. I've kind of rambled on here long enough. I'm in here almost at 14 minutes, and I'm sure that you guys have other videos you'd like to see. So I'll just say cheers to each of you, to all of you in the SJPORR Challenge that are still somewhere in the middle of things in the competition. A big hats off to each of you, and best wishes on your efforts. To those that have been rated and are moving on in some form or fashion into the finals, cheers to each of you and congratulations. I'm William again, and this is Firebrew TV. Thanks for stopping by, and again, have a great Labor Day, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.